Well, hello again. This is part of what I feel we can do to help you through this tough patch. I know you're going to be watching Netflix, and I can't pretend to compete with that. And I know that you've stacked up on all your games and so on and so forth. But when you've been cut out of fellowship with one another, sometimes you just need an extra dose of the word. So I'm going to be bringing you a few short 5 to 10 minute messages that I wouldn't normally deal with, but that are going to open up for us and we can learn a little bit of the word. So I'll be doing some of this, and so will Aaron Salisbury be doing some. So we just want to keep you buoyant and moving in the things of God. So I have chosen the small book of Philemon. Philemon's just a one-pager in the New Testament. It goes Titus, Philemon, Hebrews. So that's where it is. It's just before Hebrews. And it's a wonderful book. It's about forgiveness and love and challenging people to find their better selves and to manifest that for the cause of Christ. So rather than just pick out a text, which is often what people do, they just open the Bible and they pull something out and that means something. Well, that's good, but I'm a context freak. So to me, there's got to be context in what is being said. Otherwise, it loses a lot of its power. And so when you're looking at these books in the New Testament and you're looking at little tiny books like Philemon, you need to ask some questions so that you actually get the flow of it. So whatever book you read, just ask these few questions. There's dozens of others you could ask, but this is the basis. So we look at Philemon and we say, okay, who wrote it? Where were they when they wrote it? You know, how long ago was it? What was the date of it? To whom was it written? And what was the purpose of it? So they are just 5 excellent questions to ask yourself about any book that you open in the New Testament, especially the letters or the epistles. Okay, not getting too heavy with you. Who wrote it? Where were they when they wrote it? What was the date of the writing? To whom was it written? And what was the purpose? So I'm going to open up Philemon, and we might have 2 or 3 sessions on this. I'm not sure. I'll just see how we go, because I want to keep them short. But let me just give you some answers. So it was a letter written by Paul the Apostle. Good on you, Paul. Thanks, mate. Great little, very clever, very gentlemanly, very smart letter that he has written to convince a friend to do the right thing. So Paul was the writer of it. Where was he? He was in prison in Rome. He seemed to spend a lot of his time in the clink, this guy. But he was in prison in Rome, and it was during that time, which was about AD 61, 62. So that answers the date of the writing. So the fall of Jerusalem hasn't happened, but you don't care about that. I do. But it hasn't happened yet, so this is Paul writing about the basis of Christian faith way back there before the fall of Jerusalem in AD 61, 62. Who's he writing it to? Well, obviously he's writing it to a guy called Philemon. And Philemon was a co-worker of Paul, so somewhere they probably worked together. He was a pretty wealthy man, and he had a really great home church in Turkey. So there's a lot of information there just about this little one-page letter, and here's the essence of it. What was the purpose of the writing? Well, Philemon had a runaway slave, but the slave bumps into Paul during this time he was in prison, and he gets converted. So now we've got a runaway slave by the name of Onesimus, and Paul is going to try to appeal to Philemon, the owner of the slave, for mercy and grace, and to turn this situation around so that it will be the best for everyone. So he writes this email or this letter or whatever it is to this guy Philemon. So right now I'm just going to give you the first verse because that helps us to understand a little bit about the letter. So here's the go. It says, "From Paul, a prisoner of the Anointed One, and Timothy, our brother, to Philemon, our precious friend and companion." So he's having a little bit of a suck up. But he says, hey, I'm a prisoner. Why? Because he is identifying with this runaway slave Onesimus, and he's trying to get Philemon right from the outset to see that, oh, my brother Paul, he's in exactly the same state as the runaway slave. So he introduces himself as a prisoner of Christ Jesus, and your fellow companion or your co-worker. I want to greet the church that meets in your house. So he then names the church that's in his house. So he talks about Philemon, and Philemon means affectionate. He talks and he refers to someone by the name of Apphia, who was actually Philemon's wife, and her name means fruitful one. And then there's another one mentioned, Archippus, probably called Archie because he was the son of Philemon, and his name means master of the horse. Giddy up. So here's the household being addressed. Paul identifying himself as a prisoner, and he's appealing to this household personally before he actually extends it out to the wider cell group or home group that's meeting in this church. So that's enough for today. I'm going to give you a couple more sessions on this, and then you'll understand the book of Philemon, because it's really a great book and it'll teach us a lot, and it's one page. You can handle that. Give it a read.